The story begins with the strongest female knight, Leo Cornelia, standing in the forest. A boy named Fuli Dent approaches her and politely addresses her. Leo coolly asks what he wants, warning that if it's a duel, he'll only get hurt. Fuli quickly clarifies that it's not what she thinks. He kneels before her, a bouquet of flowers in hand, and with romantic feelings in his heart, introduces himself and confesses that he likes her as a woman. Leo, stunned and anxious, comments that he certainly has the guts to try and fool her like that. She adds that no man would ever like a woman with as many scars as she has. Fuli quickly counters, insisting that it's not true at all. As she turns her face away, he declares that there is a man who likes her for who she is, standing right here. Leo, now angry, draws her sword and points it at Fuli. She tells him to get out of her sight before she cuts him down. She adds that she has no intention of playing along with his joke. Fuli, stunned by her words, looks at her with a sad heart and face, and tells her that he is serious, that he fell for her the moment he first saw her. His confession takes Leo aback. Fuli continues, saying that he admires the way she carries herself so bravely, the way she always has a quiet smile on her face, and as she looks closer, her abs are perfect. He comments that he admires everything about her. When Leo hears the mention of her abs, she is completely astonished. She asks him curiously what he means by that and orders him to stop making a fool of her. Angrily, she asks if her body is so unseemly that he has to resort to praising her abs. Fuli gently holds her sword and, stunned, asks what she is talking about, commenting that her abs are the best part. He adds that he doesn't want some sheltered girl who was only raised for her looks. He points out that her abs, trained and formed on the battlefield, are 100 times more beautiful. Loudly, he declares that he thinks she is the most beautiful woman in the world. Hearing this, Leo sheathes her sword, tears welling up in her eyes. She says she doesn't understand him, as no one has ever treated her as a woman before. Crying, Leo runs away, sadness filling her heart. Fuli, surprised and saddened by her reaction, watches her leave. This was how Fuli first met Miss Knight, Leo Cornelia. Leo was known as the unbeatable sacred sword. From birth, she was groomed to be a weapon against demons, always prepared for battle. She was the sword capable of defeating any of her country's foes, earning her the title of the sacred sword, the strongest warrior. As Leo runs away, Fuli follows her, calling out from behind with a smiling face, asking her to wait. Leo turns to him and asks why he's following her. Fuli replies that he wants to assist her on her quest. Leo rejects his offer, insisting that she can handle any demon on her own. She asks if he has any useful information about defeating them. Fuli admits that he doesn't have anything particularly valuable. Leo then comments that it's pointless to try being friendly with her. Hearing this, Fuli feels a pang of sadness. As Leo moves forward, Fuli quickly catches up and stops her. With concern, he looks at her stomach and asks if she is injured. There is indeed a cut on her stomach. Leo halts and explains that the injury occurred a while ago. Fuli, growing more worried, angrily demands to know why she didn't mention it earlier. His sudden anger takes Leo aback, and she asks why he's so upset. She adds that there's no point in getting worked up over a small injury like this, commenting that he sounds pathetic. She reminds him that there are battles to be fought and insists he should probably go home now. As she prepares to leave, Fuli suddenly steps forward and tries to touch her stomach. Surprised, Leo quickly moves backward. With a worried expression, she asks him what he's doing and if a wild beast has appeared. Shocked, she can't believe what's happening. Fuli tries to reassure her, but she calls him an animal and refuses to back down. Suddenly, he casts a healing spell on her scar. Leo, astonished by the magic, recognizes it as recovery magic, a high-level skill only a select few can use. She's confused about why he possesses such a powerful ability. As the wound heals, he keeps his hand on Leo's stomach. With a sad look, he says there's no such thing as a small injury. Seeing someone he loves hurt is unbearable. Leo, stunned and sweating, asks how long he plans to keep touching her. Fuli, flustered, claims it's part of the procedure, then denies with a smile that he was mesmerized. Even after the wound fully heals, he stays there, admiring her. Annoyed, Leo punches him and walks away, muttering that she knew she couldn't trust him. On the ground, he thinks to himself, Leo's abs really are beautiful. At home, Leo takes a shower. Fuli's confession of love keeps replaying in her mind, making her feel sad. With a worried expression, she reflects on the possibility that she made a mistake, and the words he said continue to haunt her thoughts. She looks at herself in the mirror, examining her body marked with numerous cuts and wounds. With a heavy heart, she thinks about how pointless it all seems and wonders what the use is in feeling giddy about it. She adds that there's no way to transform her battle-worn body back into a more traditionally feminine state. With a heavy heart, she reflects that in her knightly household, she was the only daughter. Raised by a strict father, she devoted herself entirely to the way of the sword, discarding any notions of femininity. She states that her sole purpose is to live for the battlefield. Now back in the forest, she faces monsters, fighting them with determination. Using her sword skills and effort, she manages to defeat several of them. As the rain begins to fall, all the defeated monsters lie on the ground. She thinks about how bothersome it was, realizing she miscalculated and hadn't expected a horde of high-ranking monsters. Suddenly, she feels that her right arm is too weak to lift. Stunned, she sees another large monster approaching, intent on killing her. Injured and unable to move the arm she uses to wield her sword, she worries about how she will manage to defeat it. With a frightened expression, she remarks that it never gets easier. She tries to draw her sword, but her weakened arm won't cooperate. The monster draws closer, preparing to deliver a powerful punch. Overwhelmed and scared, she realizes she might be at her limit. Just as the monster is about to strike, Fuli suddenly appears, leaping in front of her and pushing her out of the way. The monster's punch lands hard on the ground. Meanwhile, they both fall backward. Leo gets up, angrily demanding to know why he is here. Fuli, however, sits near her and examines her wound, touching it gently. Shocked, she asks what he's doing. She orders him to move back and holds his head. Fuli, however, insists loudly that he can't do that because he loves her and needs to convey his feelings before they might possibly die. Confused, she asks Fuli why he chose this moment to make a confession and if he can't see the situation they're in. Meanwhile, the monster prepares another punch. Fuli, still sitting, doesn't notice it, but Leo does and becomes worried. In a burst of anger, she pulls out her sword and delivers a powerful blow, slicing the monster cleanly in half. The speed of her attack forces Fuli to duck, narrowly avoiding being struck by the same blow. He is stunned by her impressive display. Suddenly, Leo notices that her arm begins to function normally again, leaving her completely surprised. With a smiling face, Fuli comments that he knew she could do it, admiring how she defeated the monster with a single strike despite her condition. He adds that it was so dangerous he thought he might die. He also apologizes for earlier, though he was checking for injuries he could heal. Fuli stands up, laughing, and comments that when he heard she was going to fight the demon horde alone, he must have panicked. She then loudly demands to know what he thought he was doing. She questions why he is so willing to risk his life for her, and why he would try to save someone like her, who she feels has no value as a woman. She adds that despite everything he's done, there is no way she could ever like him. Sadly, she tells him that it's too late for her to become ladylike or to be by his side. She explains that beneath her armor is a scared and battered body, and she has long since given up on being a woman. Loudly, she asks if he understands what she's saying and orders him to stop following her in that manner. Her heart is completely broken, and she feels overwhelmed with sadness. But Fuli, with a polite tone and a small grin, reassures her that he understands everything she said. Despite that, he would still be honored if she would become his lover. Leo is taken aback by his words. Fuli then kneels before her and, with a romantic gesture, tells her that he doesn't mind her scars at all, and she doesn't need to act feminine. He declares that, no matter what, he loves her just the way she is. He shifts to a somber mood and says that if his feelings are a bother, he will just give up. Hearing this, Leo grabs him by the hair, causing him pain. He asks what she's doing, and she tells him to be quiet. She explains that his persistent declarations have been irritating her, so she felt the need to hit him. With a flushed face, she adds that if he's going to go this far with his talk, then fine. She says that no matter how much she might want it, there is no way she can become ladylike. But if he still wants to love her, then he can. Fuli, hearing this, is taken aback and completely surprised. With a smile and a look of amazement, he agrees with her. Waiting for the day, she decides to change. After a while, he asks if Leo can use magic. She hesitates, then explains she usually handles her enemies with her sword. Fuli agrees but suggests magic might come in handy. Lighting a fire on his finger, he offers to teach her if she's not skilled. Leo, annoyed, orders him not to underestimate her and prepares to demonstrate her magic. Fuli, intrigued, asks what kind of magic she'll cast. Leo conjures a ring of fire, with dust swirling around her. Worried, he asks if she's okay and requests her to speak. Unable to look at her. When the dust clears, Leo emerges, dirty and silent, simply saying, "Good." Fuli, puzzled, asks what she means by that, commenting that she failed at the magic. Annoyed, she snaps at him, insisting that he doesn't understand. She explains that what he witnessed was a high-level explosion spell called Explosion. Fuli clarifies that being in the center of that explosion meant she self-destructed. Leo turns to him in anger. He examines her injuries and remarks that he can't keep healing so many needless wounds. He begins using his healing magic on her, thinking to himself that the explosion spell she used clearly has potential. He realizes that if it had been a regular person, the magic would have fizzled out when cast. Fuli concludes that Miss Leo must possess a truly formidable amount of mana. He asks if he can see her hand for a moment. Leo, confused but compliant, extends her hand to him. He holds it gently, and as Leo watches, she becomes puzzled and asks what he's doing. He reassures her that it's nothing inappropriate, and jokingly asks if she thinks he looks like some kind of sexual predator. He then provides her with guidance and asks her to try using magic in this position. Fuli explains that while he's holding her hand, he'll attempt to adjust her mana using his magic. Leo is surprised and asks if he can really do that, commenting that he's quite resourceful. Fuli responds that he'd appreciate more praise, but in a different way. Shifting to a serious tone, he insists she should start and perform the same spell she did earlier. Leo agrees to his request. As she casts her magic again, he assists by using his own magic to guide the flow. Thanks to his hold on her hand, the magic flows in the right direction, creating an impressive display. Fuli is delighted and comments on how amazing it is. He adds that he always believed she had great magical potential. While acknowledging that her magic is still unstable, he tells her that her explosion spell could become even more incredible with time. Hearing Fuli's praise, Leo's face lights up with happiness as she remarks that she must be the best after all. Fuli agrees and adds that someone as adorable as her is easy to read. He then tells her they need to try a bit more and tightens his grip on her hand. Surprised, Leo asks why he is holding her hand so firmly. Fuli apologizes and explains that since there's nowhere else to touch, it's challenging for him to control his magic. He adds that for the magic adjustment to be perfectly aligned, he needs to be close to her. As Fuli moves closer, she is taken aback and tells him to wait. She questions whether he's getting too close and asks if he's sure he's not just messing with her. Fuli urges her to set aside her concerns and focus solely on the magic. Despite her growing frustration, Leo continues to cast the spell. Fuli is pleased with her progress, though she is increasingly tired. He repeatedly instructs her to use the magic, and each time she follows his directions. Whenever he holds her hand tightly, he insists she use her magic, and she complies. After a while, Leo finally remarks that she is exhausted and at her limit. Fuli grins as he watches the magic spells unfold. After several attempts, their faces come close to each other. Observing her up close, he comments that it is perfect. As they cast their magic, a massive explosion erupts. Both Fuli and Leo are taken aback by the force of it. The destructive power of the spell is comparable to that of a Grand Mage's casting. Leo tells Fuli that he seemed like a flirt at first glance. He quickly assures her he didn't mean it that way. She brings up his earlier confession and the flowers, assuming that it probably wasn't his first time doing so. With a shy smile, Fuli replies that she is his first love, so he really doesn't know what he's doing. Hearing this, Leo grins and feels a surge of happiness. In that moment, the female knight, Leo, finds herself genuinely pleased. The next day, she walks through the capital city, feeling particularly downhearted. She reflects that today seems especially dull. Fuli hasn't appeared either. Suddenly, she notices a little girl walking with her mother. With a sweet expression, the girl tells her mom that she wants a cake right away. Her mother reassures her to wait a bit longer, explaining that they will get the cake tomorrow for her birthday. Watching this, Leah feels a pang of sadness as she realizes that today is her own birthday, a fact she had completely forgotten. Lost in her thoughts, she suddenly hears a voice calling her name. Startled, she turns to find Fuli standing there. With a confident stance, he greets her with a cheerful good morning. Leo asks Fuli what he's up to and wonders why he's acting so differently from his usual self, especially with that look of pure determination. She finds it surprisingly cool. Fuli then casually asks if the weather is nice today. Leo is taken aback by the small talk and replies that it is. She can't help but wonder why he's wearing such a serious expression just for a casual conversation. Leo feels a surge of apprehension, sensing that she cannot afford to be careless or make any mistakes. Her gaze shifts to Fuli, who is hiding something behind his back. Her instincts, sharpened by her knightly training, lead her to think that it might be a blade or some kind of challenge. She braces herself for a potential confrontation, uncertain of Fuli's intentions. Leo's mind races as she recalls recent reports of assassins posing as fans to kill high-ranking adventurers. The thought that Fuli might be one of them, approaching her with hostile intent, surprises her. As Fuli begins to reveal the item he's been hiding, Leo's astonishment grows, and she wonders what his true intentions might be. When Fuli reveals the item, he wishes Leo a happy birthday with a polite smile. She is taken aback by this gesture. Fuli explains that he learned from the Adventurers Guild that it's her birthday, so he hurried over to celebrate with her. He presents her with a box, saying that inside is a necklace he chose just for her. Leo accepts the gift, completely surprised by the gesture. Fuli reassures her that, in case she thinks the necklace is useless, he has imbued it with magical enhancements, hoping it might be useful to her. He apologizes, admitting that he is so nervous he's stumbling over his words. With a shy smile, Fuli adds that he has never really celebrated a birthday before and was being unnecessarily suspicious. Leo turns back toward her home and thanks him. Fuli agrees, feeling pleased despite the dry response, and is happy simply to have been able to give her the gift. Back at her home, Leo opens the box and examines the necklace inside. Leo reminisces about her childhood, recalling a time when she asked her father for a birthday celebration, only to have him reject her request and mention that training was about to begin. Now, as she wears the necklace around her neck with genuine happiness, she puts on a casual dress that makes her look adorable. As she admires the necklace, her heart swells with joy, and she fully savors the moment. The next morning, after finishing another quest by Leo's side, Fuli asks if she has any plans for the rest of the day and adds that he would like to join her if she doesn't mind. Leo replies that she plans to do some shopping and asks if he's sure he wants to come along. He confirms that he does, and Leo agrees and gestures him to follow. Fuli, a bit puzzled, wonders if this might be turning into a date. However, as they continue shopping, Leo leads him to a weapons shop. Fuli is taken aback to find themselves in a store filled with weapons. With a cheerful expression, Leo notes that it looks like they have some new inventory. Fuli thinks that Miss Leo is really enthusiastic about this shopping trip. She picks out a few items and remarks that it's a great time to stock up, suggesting he should get something too. He agrees. Then Leo spots a weapon she likes. She picks it up and says it's a morning star, and it would suit Fuli perfectly. Confused, Fuli asks when she decided it would be a good idea for him to use such a weapon. Leo assures him that it's highly effective, capable of dealing with many enemies at once. With a smile, Leo adds that a long time ago, she swung an iron ball over her head with all her strength and accidentally hit herself, causing her skull to crack a little. She then puts the morning star back and says they need to find something else. Fuli tries to stop her, mentioning that he planned to pick out something for himself, but she pulls out another weapon. Fuli comments that she isn't listening to him. The weapon she picks this time is a scythe. She asks about it, but Fuli questions her choice, wondering what made her decide on that weapon. She replies that she chose the scythe because it looks quite powerful. She adds that when she was a child, she used it to gouge out many goblin eyes, and it served her well. Fuli comments that her attachment to weapons seems quite peculiar. He thinks that the kind of shopping he had hoped for feels far off, but it fits Miss Leo's style perfectly. As he's pondering this, he notices her staring at him. He looks up and asks her what's the matter. She sets the scythe back and comments that she noticed he looked bored. She figures he probably doesn't need any of this armor or weapons and might prefer something more frivolous. She apologizes, saying she can't quite manage to act all ladylike and do that. She adds that if her assumption about his reaction is correct, she's hit the bullseye. Fuli is surprised that she's picked up on his feelings. He reassures her that it's not quite like that. With a smile and a cute expression, he tells her that more than anything else, simply talking with someone they care about and making them smile is the best part of this. That's why he's perfectly fine with it. Leah realizes what he means and, with a happy face, asks him what he thinks about them going with the Morning Star weapon and starting to discuss training with it. Fuli, puzzled, asks if they are really going to buy these things. She adds that she also wants to discuss techniques for using a scythe. Fuli agrees and says he'll buy them. For Fuli, seeing this Leo's smiling face is worth more than anything he could purchase from the shop. The next day, Fuli is at a location for the quest, waiting for Leo, but she is nowhere to be found. He mutters to himself that Miss Leo isn't here, even though she promised to join him for the quest. Since it's just a low-ranking quest, he decides he doesn't need to hurry. Suddenly, Leo calls out to him from behind. She apologizes as she kept him waiting. Fuli is surprised and points out that she's late. With a distressed expression, Leo asks if they can start now. However, he notices something off about her. He tells her that just by looking at her, it's clear she has caught a cold. She insists that she couldn't possibly be sick, but then suddenly starts coughing. Fuli quickly confirms that she is indeed coughing heavily and sounds like she's in serious trouble. He steps closer and demands that she let him take a look at her. He places his hand on her forehead to check for a fever, and Leo is taken aback by his concern. Fuli, in turn, is shocked to find that she has a very high fever. Hearing this, Leo grows even more concerned. He insists that they need to see a doctor and get her checked out immediately. She quickly swats his hand away from her forehead and, with frustration, demands to know what he thinks he's doing. Fuli, deeply worried, tries to calm her by saying she's at risk of collapsing if she doesn't get help. Despite sweating and feeling extremely ill, Leo remains resolute, insisting that even with a cold, she is still the strongest knight and will never give up so easily. He wonders aloud what she's trying to win against. He understands, noting that she seems to have ignored his words. Suddenly, Fuli steps forward, lifts her into his arms, and firmly instructs her to go to the doctor. Leo, shocked, demands to know what he's doing. Fuli explains that since she refused to listen to him, he has no choice but to take her there by force. In a light-hearted tone, he comments that she feels a bit heavy. Leo responds that being on the heavier side isn't a big deal. She explains that while social standards might favor lighter women, her training as a warrior has developed her muscles, and she takes pride in that. She also apologizes for her earlier rudeness and asks him to put her down, worried about how it might look if someone saw them like this. Fuli reassures her, saying there's no need to worry because they're taking a back alley where hardly anyone goes. He adds that just as she upholds her duties as a knight, he can't stand idly by when a woman needs help. He believes this is how a man should act, especially when that woman is someone he heavily loves. Hearing the word heavy again, Leo becomes annoyed and demands to know who he's calling heavy. With a smiling face, he clarifies that he wasn't saying she is heavy. He meant that he is deeply in love. Realizing it was a joke, Leo comments that she'll remember it. Fuli laughs and says he's ready for whatever she might throw at him. The next day, Fuli and Leo are in the forest tackling some quests. Leo defeats a mushroom monster with a swift cut from her sword, slicing it cleanly in two. Seeing this, Fuli expresses his delight, commenting on how easily she handles it. He notes that even though it was a rare mushroom, she defeated it effortlessly. Just as they are celebrating, the mushroom suddenly starts generating spores. Fuli is taken aback. Leo, caught in the cloud of spores, soon emerges feeling dizzy. Leo, looking dazed, asks Fuli about himself. She comments that her body feels oddly warm and pleasant. Fuli is startled and wonders if the mushroom spores have some sort of hypnotic effect. As the spores take hold, Leo becomes romantic and moves closer to Fuli. With a dreamy expression, she calls him over and cutely requests that he come nearer so she can see his face up close. Confused, he realizes that the spores are not a hallucinogen but an aphrodisiac. He grows worried about Leo's condition. Noticing his concern, Leo comments that he seems like a pitiful guy, embarrassed by the situation. Just then, another mushroom monster appears. Fuli is taken aback, wondering what he can do with Leo not fully conscious. However, before he can react, Leo swiftly draws her sword and slices the mushroom monster in an instant. Leo commands the mushroom monster not to interfere with her and Fuli. He is stunned by her sudden fierce action and reflects on the power of her holy sword. Unexpectedly, the second mushroom monster begins to release spores as well, and Fuli gets caught in them. When he emerges, he also feels dizzy. Leo notices his sudden silence and asks him what happened. She comments sadly, feeling that perhaps no one could be bothered to be with a strong, masculine woman like her. Suddenly, Fuli's mood shifts, and he places his hand on Leo's shoulder. Now he's caught in a state of hallucination. He loudly exclaims that she can't be bothered by anyone, and in fact, she really excites him. He confesses his deep love for her. As he continues to hallucinate, Fuli turns his head and becomes completely engrossed in his feelings. He takes hold of her arms and romantically grabs her ribs, expressing his emotions. Fuli pulls her closer, leaning in to kiss her. But suddenly, Leo snaps back to her senses. Seeing what's happening, she angrily demands to know what he's trying to do and delivers a powerful punch to his face. Fuli is sent flying through the air and lands on the other side. The desire star mushroom spores have the ability to confuse their victims by acting as an aphrodisiac. Though potent, this effect only lasts for about 1 minute. That evening, Leo strolls through the streets, thinking of heading home now that her shopping's done. She spots Fuli ahead and, feeling cheerful, decides to say hi. But as she approaches, she notices he's with another girl. Surprised by the sight of the girl, Leo hides behind a wall and watches them discreetly. She wonders who the girl is and realizes that someone like Fuli must have friends. However, she remains puzzled and feels irritated by how close they seem to be. She comments to herself that it really bothers her. As she observes Fuli smiling with the girl, her anxiety grows, and she questions why he appears so cheerful with her. Leo observes that the other girl is clinging to Fuli, which makes her question whether anyone really needs to latch onto someone so tightly for support. She notes that the girl is quite graceful with her long, fluttery hair and looks very ladylike. Feeling disheartened, she compares herself unfavorably to the girl, thinking she feels like a mere disappointment in comparison. Fuli tells the girl that she's a bit too close and that it's making it hard for him to walk. She responds that it's okay because they're close. Leo, watching from her hiding spot, is even more surprised, thinking that no matter how you look at it, she's really clinging to him. The girl then cheerfully says that today feels like a date. Fuli laughs and comments that she's quite crazy. Meanwhile, Leo's anger towards Fuli grows. She thinks he never mentioned he was the type to act like this. Clenching her fist, she strides towards him. The other girl tells Fuli she's going to buy a book from the store. He agrees and she heads inside. Suddenly, from behind, Leo grabs Fuli by the collar. He's startled, and when he turns around and sees it's her, he greets her. Leo drags him to a corner, then shoves him against the wall with such force that cracks appear. Fuli is completely stunned by her sudden aggression. She demands to know who the woman is, pressing her hand against the wall and ordering him to answer while she still can think clearly. With a bewildered yet endearing expression, Fuli tries to calm her down, assuring her that there's no need to be so upset. Leo's anger doesn't subside. She demands again to know about the girl. Fuli is taken aback by her reaction. Until now, jealousy was an emotion completely foreign to this female knight. Having never encountered it before, the moment she does, she reacts like a child having a temper tantrum. Just as Fuli is about to explain, the other girl appears in front of them. She addresses Leo, asking if she is the sacred sword and requests that she kindly remove her hand from Fuli. She demands to know how Leo dares to attack him. Fuli, taken aback, tries to intervene, saying it's a misunderstanding. However, the girl doesn't listen and quickly moves to punch Leo. Despite the speed of the strike, Leo, being a strong knight, easily blocks it. She realizes that the girl's quick reflexes indicate she is no ordinary person. The girl loudly demands that Leo stop bullying her big brother. Leo is taken aback by this. Fuli, looking frustrated, tells his sister to calm down and asks why she's acting this way all of a sudden. His sister apologizes and explains that she thought Leo was bullying him. Fuli reassures her that Leo isn't like that. Still confused, Leo turns to Fuli and asks who this girl is. With a cheerful expression, Fuli apologizes to Leo for the confusion. He introduces his sister, saying her name is Henri Dent. Henri, with her hands clasped in front of Leo, apologizes for the misunderstanding. Fuli places a hand on Henri's head and praises her, saying she's a good girl. Leo reflects on whether it's just her impression or if Fuli seems to be turning into a bit of a siskin. But she feels relieved to know that Henri is his younger sister. Fuli, curious, asks Leo why she was so angry with him earlier, wondering if he did something to upset her. Leo is taken aback by the question and, feeling confused, explains that it was just a test. She wanted to see if he would be intimidated by her spirit, and learning about his little sister threw her off as well. Hearing this, Fuli's face lights up with joy. He raises his arms in excitement and vows to become strong enough to stand by Leo's side, determined to earn her respect. Leo agrees with Fuli's resolve. Just then, Henri calls out to Leo and in a playful mood sticks her tongue out at her, making a silly face. Leo is taken aback by this unexpected gesture. After teasing her, Henri quickly hides behind Fuli. Fuli, noticing the interaction, asks if something is wrong. Henri assures him that everything is fine. Leo observes and concludes that Henri must be a bit of a brocon. She then suggests to Fuli that he might want to distance himself a bit from Henri. Confused, he asks if he did something to upset her again. One day, as Leo walks through town, she notices that Henri has been following her secretly. Leo reflects that it's been a few days since she learned about the Henri siblings, and now she has a new concern. Why is Henri stalking her? When Henri peeks out from behind a wall, Leo calls out to her, acknowledging that she has noticed the spying. Initially surprised, Henri responds with a cute smile and comments that Leo's ability to detect her presence is impressive. With a sincere expression, Anri tells Leo that such a rare opportunity should not be wasted and suggests they have a fight. Leo agrees but asks for the reason behind it. She replies that she is being hasty because Leo has been lurking around her big brother. Surprised, Leo clarifies that her brother is the one who keeps getting close to her. She adds that Fuli is the one who kept going on about his love for Abs and even confessed his feelings to her. Anri is taken aback and comments that it makes her big brother look like simple fool. She explains that her brother used to admire muscular women frequently, but if Leo can overlook that, he's actually a wonderful big brother. Leo notes that it seems like Anri has overlooked this behavior quite often. She shifts the topic and insists that they have a match, ordering Leo to prepare herself. With a smile, she remarks that it seems Anri is really eager for a fight. She adds that if that's the case, she's ready to give her one and hopes Anri can handle it. Anri, with confidence, replies that it will be a piece of cake for her. However, as she's talking with attitude, the straps of Anri's clothes suddenly rip open, leaving her surprised. Tears well up in Anri's eyes as she laments that her clothes have torn. She asks Leo, bewildered, how this happened so suddenly. With a sigh, she sits down in front of Leo, clearly upset, and frets that her chest might end up exposed. Leo points out that since Anri is a martial artist, it's surprising that her clothes ripped. She adds that Anri's body shouldn't be squeezing into them. Anri, with a sad expression, asks if she's being an idiot. She explains that she had to increase her calorie intake in preparation for their fight, which led to her clothes ripping. Leo comments that while there is a limit, Anri was just pigging out. Leo then throws a blanket over her, instructing her to wrap it around herself. Anri is taken aback by this gesture. Leo adds that once Anri has sorted herself out, they can resume their fight, but for now it's best to put an end to it. With a sad and worried tone, Anri asks Leo to stop acting like a big brother. She says she will let Leo off the hook for today and starts to run away. As she runs, she glances back at Leo and mentions that she plans to properly thank her for her kindness. Leo reflects that Anri is genuinely earnest. Despite everything, it seems that, even if just for a little while, they've managed to get along. One day, Fuli and Leo are in the forest. She warns him that they are about to leave the forest, so he shouldn't let his guard down. He agrees with her. She adds that there should be a swarm of goblins ahead, so they need to be cautious. As she says this, Leo suddenly starts hiccuping but tries to pretend she isn't. Fuli notices and asks her about the hiccups, but she shifts the topic, advising Fuli to watch his step as they continue further, just in case. He agrees once more. She starts hiccuping again, trying hard to hide it. Fuli notices and thinks that her attempts to conceal the hiccups are rather cute. Leo then tells him that they are about to leave the forest and he should follow her instructions. Just then, goblins appear in front of them. Seeing the goblins, Fuli comments that there are quite a few of them. Leo agrees, saying that goblins are troublesome enemies. Hiccuping, she instructs him to stand behind her and start casting magic to create a distraction. She will then act as the vanguard and clear a path forward. Fuli agrees and finds her hiccuping so cute that he can't bring himself to say anything. He reminds himself to stay serious and focused on the task at hand. Leo draws her swords and engages the goblins, fighting them off despite her persistent hiccups. Fuli observes, thinking that her hiccuping is quite intense. After some time, she has defeated all the goblins except one. She aims her sword at the remaining goblin and declares that its luck has run out now that it faces her. As she prepares to finish it off, she hiccups again, then delivers a final blow with her sword, defeating the last goblin. After defeating the last goblin, Leo tells Fuli that she may have gotten a bit carried away in the heat of the moment and that her arm feels numb. Fuli reassures her, saying she did a great job and that it's no surprise given her skill. Leo responds by saying that he is quite useful himself. Fuli admits to himself that he was mostly distracted by her hiccups. Leo thanks him, then hiccups again. Surprised, Fuli figures there's no way she can deny it now. Noticing his grin, Leo asks why he's smiling. Caught off guard, he says it's nothing. She misreads his reaction and insists he's got the wrong idea. She didn't hiccup during the fight, so he shouldn't assume anything. As the hiccups stop, Fuli relaxes, quietly enjoying the moment. Leo feels some pain in her body and mentions that her shoulders are a bit stiff. Fuli suggests it might be because they've been tackling so many high-ranking quests. She agrees with him. With a cheerful expression, Fuli asks if she would let him give her a massage. At first, she hesitates, but Fuli persuades her, politely asking her to sit on a nearby stone. She sits down, still a bit worried about the situation. Fuli says that it's time for him to get to work. As he places his hands on her shoulders, Leo immediately feels a wave of relaxation throughout her body. She is pleasantly surprised by this sensation. Fuli asks her if something is wrong. With a happy smile, she replies that it actually feels quite good. She wonders if a massage can really provide such a soothing effect. At the same time, she worries about the kind of voice she's using due to the relaxation. Fuli comments that he can feel how stiff her shoulders are with each rub. In her mind, Leo is silently urging him not to apply too much pressure. After finishing with her shoulders, Fuli mentions that he'll now focus on any stiffness around her lower back. As he starts to reach for her lower back, Leo suddenly orders him to stop. She wonders if he's just trying to touch her entire body. When she looks at him, his expression seems sincere. Fuli reassures her that his intentions are purely to help and that he understands how hard she has been pushing herself. He adds that it's important for him to take care of her. Realizing her mistake, Leo apologizes. As Fuli begins to massage her lower back, Leo feels a surge of nervousness. She covers her mouth with her hand and reflects on how she can feel Fuli's fingers pressing against her sides. As Fuli rubs her lower back, he comments that it's challenging to do so with the cloak in the way. He mentions that he's going to move the cloak a little to get better access. When Leo hears this, she quickly tells him to stop and loudly insists that he shouldn't look at her back. Confused and taken aback, Fuli asks if he's not allowed to do this. Leo, with a hint of sadness, explains that it's simply because she doesn't want him to see her back. Hearing Leo's words, Fuli feels deeply hurt. With a broken heart, he apologizes and expresses his regret, saying he didn't realize he was causing her distress. Leo is surprised by his reaction and reassures him that it's not like that at all. Finally, with a softened tone, she gives him permission to move the cloak and continue massaging her lower back. Fuli, relieved and pleased, moves the cloak aside. As he does, he notices a large scar on her back, which surprises him. Leo tells Fuli not to focus too much on her scar, explaining that it came from escaping a difficult situation and isn't something pleasant to look at. She acknowledges that it's a rather large scar. Fuli, hearing this, reassures her that he doesn't mind it at all. With a hint of anger, he adds that if anyone dares to suggest she got the scar from running away, he'll confront them. He declares that he'll proudly tell them that the scar represents the pain she endured for the sake of others. Leo is astonished by Fuli's response. After the massage, Fuli asks her how she's feeling. She stretches her arm in relaxation and says that her whole body feels much better now. Fuli smiles and remarks that it's wonderful to hear, though he notes that the relief might be temporary. In a polite manner, Leo thanks him for his kindness and asks if he would mind allowing her to give him a massage in return. Fuli agrees and sits down on the stone, delighted by the offer. However, he soon forgets that, according to the Sacred Sword's dictionary, the concept of restraint is non-existent. When Leo places her hands on his shoulders, her strength causes her to apply pressure too forcefully. The pain makes him cry out loudly. Now they both sit on the stone. With a smile, Fuli comments that the current quest has been particularly exhausting, and they haven't had a break in a while. He notes that it must have been especially tiring for her since she was fighting as the vanguard. Politely, he suggests they take a break to plan their next quests. She agrees. However, Fuli notices something. She is unusually quiet, making him wonder if something is wrong. He wonders if she is trying to concentrate on something and decides not to bother her with conversation. As he looks around and comments on the pleasant weather, Leo suddenly rests her head on his shoulder. He is taken aback by this. Realizing that Leo has fallen asleep, he is momentarily stunned and starts to ask what she's doing. But seeing that she's sleeping, he decides to remain quiet. Fuli is uncertain about what to do next. He wonders if he should wake her up, but worries that she might get angry if he does. As Leo sleeps, she murmurs Fuli's name. Fuli, delighted by the sight, thinks that her sleeping is incredibly cute and that she might even be dreaming about him. He is taken aback when, in her sleep, she complains that Fuli is annoying her. He mentally apologizes, feeling a bit embarrassed for being bothersome even in her dreams. He decides he shouldn't wake her just yet, wanting to savor this moment a little longer. He wishes this peaceful time could last a bit more. After a while, Leo stirs and wakes up, startled by the situation. She feels she's made a mistake, not expecting to doze off like that. She reflects that it's unusual for her to fall asleep so easily, but being next to Fuli made her feel unusually calm. When Leo sees him still sleeping, she feels a surge of happiness, thinking that she's safe and the tables have turned. She considers that if she wakes him up, he might dismiss her dozing off as just a fleeting dream. At that moment, Fuli rests his head on her shoulder. Surprised, Leo asks what he's doing. Ultimately, they both end up enjoying a peaceful afternoon nap together. After some time, rain begins to fall, surprising both of them. Fuli comments that the rain seems like it won't let up anytime soon, while Leo adds that it looks like they'll be stuck here for a while. Thunder rumbles, and Fuli remarks on the intensity of the storm. Hearing the thunder, she wraps her arms around herself in fear. Fuli asks if something is wrong, but she simply replies no. Suddenly, a brilliant flash of lightning strikes the ground in front of them. Fuli comments that the lightning was quite a shock. He notices that Leo looks very frightened and says that his observation is accurate. Politely, he asks if she might be afraid of lightning. Leo, annoyed, snaps that she's not scared of such things and insists there's nothing to be afraid of. Fuli then points out that if she's not afraid, she wouldn't be gripping her arms so tightly. In a frightened state, Leo loosens her grip on her arms, and with a trembling voice, tries to convince Fuli that lightning isn't scary. Despite her words, tears well up in her eyes. She then adds that she'll explain why she struggles with lightning in the sky. Fuli, curious, asks if there's a specific reason behind it. Leo explains that it's not something special, but it dates back to a rainy day long ago when she was training. While it was pouring rain, Leo started practicing her swings and stances. She recounts that during that session, a bolt of lightning struck her directly. Thankfully, the lightning was weak and caused no major damage. Fuli responds by saying that there's no such thing as weak lightning and wonders if her head was alright afterward. As they're talking, another intense bolt of lightning crashes down nearby, startling both of them. Fuli, taken aback, comments that the lightning struck right next to them. He asks Leo if she is alright. Leo, sitting on the ground with a downcast expression, responds that her legs didn't give out. He inquires if she can stand up. With a hint of sadness, Leo admits that if anyone found out about her being this frightened, it would tarnish the name of the sacred sword. She feels deeply ashamed. Fuli reassures her that he won't tell anyone about this. Fuli adds that this is something he wants to keep just for himself. He tells Leo that she always gives her best to the point of being nearly perfect, and he feels fortunate to be the only one who knows this side of her. Leo then tells him to come a bit closer and makes it clear that she doesn't want to hear any complaints. As they wait for the rain to stop, she begins to act a bit differently from her usual self. After some time, they both change into their training outfits and prepare for the session. Leo asks Fuli if he's sure he wants to go through with this. He enthusiastically replies that he does and requests to accompany her during her training. Leo informs him that she has no intention of altering her usual workout routine just because he's joining. She adds that she won't slow down if he struggles to keep up. Fuli agrees with a smile, mentioning that even though he might not look like it, he can handle exercising and is excited to see her in action. They begin their workout and Leo starts with push-ups. She instructs him to do 500 push-ups for the warm-up. Fuli is taken aback and, looking puzzled, asks if such a high number is really necessary for a warm-up. Leo responds that this is just a normal routine and tells him to start. As she begins her push-ups, she performs them with incredible speed. Fuli, watching her, realizes he needs to keep up. By the time he starts, she has already finished. Leo informs him that push-ups are done, and now it's time for 500 sit-ups, followed by 500 squats. Fuli is completely stunned by the announcement. Fuli remarks that things are only going to get tougher, and no one would blame him if he decided to go home. Despite this, he refuses to back down. He thinks to himself that this is challenging, as expected from Miss Leo's workout, but he can't give up. He doesn't want Leo to see him in a pathetic state. While he's grappling with these thoughts, Leo is holding a sword, counting to 999. She finishes her final swing and announces that she has completed 1,000 practice swings. As Leo wipes the sweat from her brow, Fuli, looking utterly exhausted, approaches her. He calls out to her and says that he has finished warming up. Surprised, Leo remarks that she didn't expect him to sweat so much from just the warm-up. She then suggests they run 10 kilometers next. Fuli agrees, though he struggles to keep up. After a while, Leo is standing strong while Fuli lies on the ground, completely spent. He admits, breathlessly, that he couldn't even manage half of it, which was pretty much what he expected. Feeling disheartened, Fuli laments that he is worthless, even though he tried, and apologizes to Leo for his perceived inadequacy. He had hoped she would recognize his effort, no matter how small. Leo reassures him, noting that, until now, only a few people have asked for her training, and they all complained and quit halfway through. She tells him that he is the first to reach the end without a single complaint or giving up. Fuli is taken aback by this revelation. Leo adds that if nothing else, she appreciates his earnest determination even if it seems a bit foolish. He responds that he thought it was natural to endure training without complaining. She points out that many people struggle with that. Fuli then asks why he would complain when he gets to see Leo exercising. When she inquires further, he explains that, to him, watching her is such a sight for sore eyes that he'd be willing to pay for it. He comments that Leo's physique is like a national treasure, but he particularly admires 3 areas: her abs, her lower back, and her glutes. He adds that today he had the pleasure of fully appreciating these exceptional muscles. He explains that watching her work out so intensely made the workout itself feel effortless. For him, seeing her beautiful form in action made the experience truly enjoyable. He eagerly asks if he can work out with her again. With a playful smile, she expresses disbelief that his motivation was due to such a creepy reason. Since she enjoys seeing him work hard, she insists he needs to do more hands-on training so he can get an even closer look at her. Hearing this, Fuli groans that his muscles are sore and he doesn't think he can take another step. However, she firmly disagrees and instructs him to continue. One day, Fuli walks through town searching for Leo. He wonders where she might be. Suddenly, Leo appears and calls out to him from behind. Fuli's face lights up with happiness upon seeing her. However, as she approaches, she places a hand on her head and looks a bit downcast. She apologizes for being late. Fuli reassures her that it's fine and asks about her current pose, wondering if there's something wrong with the weather. Leo tells Fuli to stop with the small talk and reassures him that the pose doesn't mean anything, so he shouldn't worry about it. Fuli, still curious, asks if she's really all right and if she might have injured her head. She replies that she hasn't. Concerned, Fuli insists on checking her head himself. Leo then pulls her hand away from her head, turns her face toward him, and assures him that nothing is wrong. Fuli, still unconvinced, questions why Leo is turning her face away and tries to get a better look. As he attempts to see her face, she keeps turning it and moving in circles. Frustrated, he expresses his disappointment and asks if she really doesn't want to show her face. Leo responds that it's not the case. Apologizing, Fuli acknowledges that he must be making things difficult for her. Leo reassures him that it's not a problem. With a heavy heart, he tells her that he has lost the will to continue for the day and decides to head home. As he turns to leave, Leo suddenly stops him. She agrees with his sentiment and reveals her face. She asks him to take a good look. It turns out that her bangs are cut a bit too short, a result of a minor mishap from this morning. She explains that it's nothing serious, just a little mistake with her haircut. He remains silent, simply gazing at her. Leo reflects on past instances when she had cut her hair and remembers considering fixing it, because Fuli would see her in this state. She explains that she was a bit sleepy this morning and usually doesn't make such mistakes. Sadly, she adds that while she knows it looks quite odd, she doesn't really care about what others might think. Leo tells Fuli that his speechlessness proves her point, as he hasn't said a word for a while. Suddenly, he speaks up, saying that it's not like that at all. It's actually extremely cute and wonderful. Leo is surprised by his response. Fuli adds that if she can pull off any hairstyle, that's impressive. He asks to see more of her new look, saying it'd be a shame to hide it, then looks at her with a soft, romantic gaze.
Here I am, know it's been a while. I was in denial about my love. Here I stand, I know I walked away.